thank you so much for coming. Today is our first Civic Engagement Giant Chat session. We're starting some workshops, and we're very honored and excited to have CIOGC present today. My name is Alvian Wade. I'm one of the chairs of the newly formed IFN Civic Engagement Committee. So what we're doing, and we're planning to raise awareness in our community because it's a very, very important year, this academic year. We have general elections coming up in November, local consolidated elections in April. And if our community can be at the forefront of having a very active, almost like our love and child, like a 75%, everybody who can vote. I think that would be wonderful for our community. And then we would be taken more seriously. We'd be able to have a lot of our ideas come to the forefront. And this is really crucial given what is happening in the world, especially in the Middle East. So we have to become engaged in the civic process, and our goal is to raise awareness and education. So we only have 37 days left for the general election. We have a lot of work to do. We have volunteers on this committee that are helping us. I have to say that as a masjid, we're a nonprofit, 501c3, we cannot endorse candidates. So our main focus is to raise awareness and education. So to mobilize the community, we are partnering with different organizations. Today is CIOGC. We're very excited to have them here to present and educate us. One of our own board of trustee members, Brother Irshad Khan, he was former chairman of CIOGC, and we're very excited to be working and collaborating with CIOGC. Just briefly, quickly, the agenda. Brother Irshad will introduce CIOGC speakers. Then we have Brother Osama who will be speaking. We'll have a Q&A, and then we also have handed out, each table will have the handouts, and on that you can use your phone and you can register online, okay? That's one really important way to do that. So the link will take you and we can help you if you have any questions at the end. So this one, and without further ado, I will introduce Brother Irshad Khan, who will come up and introduce CIOGC.
Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Thank you so much for being here today. Those who are here, I can definitely say that you are civically engaged and want to be engaged, and really good to see. I know this is the first session that timing-wise and maybe awareness of this program might not have reached out to as many, but that's okay. I think it starts from a smaller group who becomes ambassadors, and then they carry on this message to others who are not here today. So you are the ambassadors who are here today. So thank you for taking time to be here today. Civic engagement, before I introduce the CIOGC team, is really important for all of us, especially in the times like this, and also for our future generations. If we are not on the table, then we are on the menu, right? We hear those all the time. What that means that we need to be engaged, and we need to be part with any and local, state, even national movements that we have now, that we need to be part with that, and please, attend and make sure that you are fully engaging. And then also, if you can bring some of those expertise to your local communities, that will really help moving this cause forward. Because the one thing that I've learned, that there's nobody else will do this for you, and except for us, we have to do it for ourselves and for our future generations. So it is an important work. It is something that we have been asked to do, that who we are and how we represent ourselves. And this is one of those areas that we really need to be focusing and engaging, and then making sure that everybody's aware of it. I understand, especially the times like this and now, there's a lot of question marks. Do we even count? Do we even need to be engaged? Do we need to be part of it? I think Osama's presentation will share some of those highlights for you, and to answer some of those questions, why it's important for us to continue to be engaged and involved. So again, just want to thank you all for being here, and we're counting you as ambassadors to take this message on. And IFN has taken this as one of the core areas that should be focusing on now till election. and inshallah continue going forward as well as civic engagement to help mobilize our community to give them what they need in terms of the awareness and also some of the information that they don't have, that they're counting on us as community leaders to provide them. And inshallah, that's what we're going to be doing there going forward through this program. So today is the start of this sessions and more to come. Today we are honored to have our CRGC team here. I'm kind of mixed because I'm part of the IFN, but also part of the CRGC as well, and had an honor and privilege to chair CRGC for 4 years, and then also continue to lead the civic engagement prior to that. And then now I am the current chair for the Zakat Chicago for the CRGC. So continuing to make that effort through anything that we can do to make an impact and help our community move forward. So today we have two of the core leaders of the CRGC. First, we have Sheikh Ahmed. He's our new executive director, and I would like him to come in and introduce himself, and then I'll introduce the second speaker today. So Sheikh Ahmed.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Well, my name is Sheikh Ahmed Mubarak. I'm from Mauritania, a small country of maybe about 4 or 5 million people, Northwest Africa, neighbored by Algeria, Morocco, Mali, Maghrebia, and so I am here coming from New York and to join this great team. They're doing a lot of work already. I thought that I would be doing something big and make a difference. It seems that I would just maybe make a small enhancement of what they've been doing. They're doing a lot. So the CRGC, basically the main mission is to make sure that the Muslim community is working collectively. They have something like that looks like almost a central government. You can be an IFN very savvy and very civically engaged and doing a lot of work that is good and that has an impact on the community. But if we do not push together as a community, we will not make a dent. Even the whole Muslim community in the United States is less than 1%. So even if we push collectively, although they said that only 10% of that 1%, only 10% would go to the mosque, even to get to talk to them. So there is 90% of the Muslim community that doesn't go to the mosque. They call them the mosque goers. So your mission is double mission here, as I said, your ambassadors. You have to work harder to reach out to even that 90%, and that 90% then can do and can have an impact only if we collaborate and coordinate with other strategic partners like the Black African American community or the Latino community. There's a big responsibility over our shoulders. When you saw how we failed to cease fire, there's a reason for that. Why couldn't we cease fire and we have all these tens of billion Muslim Americans and we have a lot of money and a lot of educated people? Because we were not, as he said, we were not at the table. And that's a big job, and we hope that the CRGC as a council for all of these organizations make sure that every single organization is active like what Usama is doing, and then collectively we push together to make our own, inshallah, plus push that can has an impact on the Muslim world, because we represent the Muslim world at the end here. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you, Sheikh Ahmed. The next, he will be our speaker for today, Dr. Osama Abdullah. He has been doing a lot of civic engagement work in the past and have joined the CRGC Civic Engagement team. And he has been taking the lead in the voter engagement and voter registration, voter drive and awareness part of that. And then there's a civic engagement lead, Brother Shafiq Abubakar. They have some commitments today and they were not able to join, and so is our chairman, Dr. Abdul Ghani Hamade, and they couldn't be here today. So with that, I will introduce Brother Osama, and inshallah he will continue with his introduction, and then he will share his slides for his presentation, And like was shared earlier, that we will leave some time open for Q&A inshallah after his presentation. So Osama.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'm just gonna sit here. You guys don't mind. So, I'm originally from Palestine, Palestine. I came here. I was here actually, when I early elementary school, first grade, second grade. I went to Palestine. Then I came back here in 2001. It was freshman year in high school. Alhamdulillah, it's a blessing to be here, to be honest with you, in this country. I learned a lot being in the United States. In college, I went to Loyola for undergrad, and there I got involved in student government. And Loyola it's a Christian school, it's a Jesuit school, subhanAllah. So I noticed that we definitely have a role to play in the American community, especially when we're in an environment that shares our values. And a lot of the Christian institutions share our Islamic values with all people in both at the end of the day. And then I went to medical school, alhamdulillah, to UIC. And at UIC, I got involved with the biggest medical student association there called AMSA, American Medical Student Association. It does have a multi-million-dollar project. And I was a regional director for them. So I had directed Illinois, Indiana, and Wisconsin, the medical school chapters there. And that was my first interaction with civic engagement as a 501c3 organization, where we basically, medical students got together and they had a big budget. That's a benefit of working with these organizations. You get to learn. They have, $1 million budget. They got big speakers. They taught us how to talk about issues, how to make them personal, and then sit with elected officials and translate that personal story into an advocacy issue. We actually went to Capitol Hill through that effort. And then alhamdulillah, I got into the community after I finished my training in internal medicine. I became a youth director with Muslim American Society. After I did all that work outside the Muslim community, I thought it's time to come back to the Muslim community. Most recently, of course, with the events of Gaza, I decided to go from the education side more into the civic side of our community work. We started an organization called the Human Dignity Project, which is a value-based organization. So we can come together based on shared values within the American community. So it's not like just Muslims that work, right? Everybody respects basic human dignity. You can be a Muslim, you can be Jewish, you can be Christian, you can be, outside of these faiths, but we can all agree that it's not okay to kill children, so we can collectively go and speak. But what I found out is that, nobody will do your job for you. Nobody will take care of your issues. You have to take care of your own issues. Now, if you become strong, so strong, and you advocate for your issues, and you advocate for other people's issues, right? Then they will actually come and pay back the favor. But you have to be, first strong as a community. You have to advocate for your issues. You have to advocate for their issues, and then they will come and advocate for your issues as well. Okay. So inshallah, we'll start with this presentation, and I think it's very, very important that we understand our role and we understand our competitive advantage. And what's competitive advantage? I'm going to stand here actually. So what's competitive advantage? I don't know if anybody here in business, in the world of business. Can somebody tell me what competitive advantage is? I don't know. I'm going to share in business, right? So competitive advantage, if you have a product, and I'm putting my MBA on the side, so that's why I like to speak about this stuff. So if you have a product, and you're asking for people to come and invest in the product, they're going to tell you, well, what makes your product better than other people's products, right? Like you want to sell a phone. Like what's the competitive advantage of your phone? Why should we invest in your phone, right? So, for example, Apple, they tell you, well, we have a very slick design, it's very user-friendly, it's error-free, right? So that's our competitive advantage. And we have that patented that nobody can compete with us on this issue. And they start small, but because they fulfill a need, right, with their competitive advantage, they grow. Because at the end of the day, nobody's able to provide what they provide. So So in terms of civic engagement, what does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tell us? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, كنتم خير أمة أخرجت للناس تأمرون بالمعروف وتنهون عن المنكر وتؤمنون بالله ولو آمن أهل الكتاب لكان خيرا لهم منهم المؤمنون وأكثرهم الفاسقون. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, you are the best community that ever emerged for humanity, ever. And this is to the Sahaba in Allah, by the way. You advocate what is moral and you forbid what is immoral and believe in God. Had the people of the scripture believed, have they believed, okay? It's not a title of not a step by culture. No, it's a deep-rooted faith, right? That translates into values. It would have been better for them. Among them are the believers, but most of them are sinners. So this is the key thing. Like, why should I use that civically engaged Muslim? Why? There's so many different communities out there that have civic engagement. Because we have a competitive advantage. Our competitive advantage is we believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? We actually believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That belief translates into values that we live, we act, we carry. And it is very important that we be rooted in that in our civic work. Otherwise, we don't have a competitive advantage. And it might not be appealing immediately, but we're looking for long-term results, not short-term results, right? So we enjoy good, we forbid evil, based on our belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Based on values that we learn from Islam, right? Based on the character of Sayyidina Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam. And this is it. رَضِيتُ بِاللَّهِ رَبًّا وَبِالْإِسْلَامِ دِينًا وَمُحَمَّدٍ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمَ نَبِيًّا وَرَسُولًا, right? Rasulullah say, if you say, if you say this 3 times a day, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make you pleased on the day of judgment. He says, what was the dua? رَضِيتُ بِاللَّهِ رَبًّا, I am pleased with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as my Lord. And how can we not be? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us, Allah created this whole universe, right? And He was so merciful to us. Just look at our body. I'm a physician. And we start as one cell, and over 9 months, that one cell goes to 2 cells, 4 cells, 8 cells, into 100 billion cells. And that one cell, one of it becomes lungs, one of it becomes brain, one of it becomes heart. Amazing, subhanAllah. And then when you're adults, 30 trillion cells. Who created this? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? When we are pleased with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, at the end of the day, this dunya is going to go. We're going to enter Jannah, inshallah, or Jannah. Allah protect us from it. What's the criteria to enter Jannah? The criteria to enter Jannah is to have a pure heart. Qalb salim, right? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent us a message called Islam, right? Embodied in the Quran and the Sunnah of Sayyidina Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam. And this Islam teaches us, if we follow Islam, inshallah we develop a good heart. And then the Sunnah and Sayyidina Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, not only we have Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the road to Him, we have our beloved Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, who came and held us by our hand and took us down this path through tears of blood alayhi salatu wasalam, while smiling and loving and making dua for us. So we have to embody our religion. If we don't embody our religion in this work, we are not attendant. So, I really like to stress this message. And I know we all want to get into details, but this is what really will make a difference, is that we embody this, And it's amazing that you guys established this community. I have to, really just recognize that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you. The masajid are places where they fulfill the job of the Prophet. What's the job of the Prophet? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent the Prophet لِيَتْلُ عَلَيْهِمْ آيَاتِهِ to recite the verses of the Quran upon people. And here in the masjid, I'm sure you teach kids how to recite the Quran, right? وَيُزَكِّيهِمْ, and to purify them. And what does purification mean? You remove any shirk, you remove any disbelief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you remove sins, you remove diseases of the heart, arrogance, jealousy, etc. Right? You remove bad character. And it's very important in civic engagement to have good character, right? And you remove that which doesn't concern you. You start being focused on the ummah and humanity instead of just focused on yourself. And then the masjid also, what does also the masjid do? وَيُعَلِّمُهُمُ الْكِتَابَ وَالْحِكْمَةَ. We're not only do we recite the Quran, we understand the verses we read in the Quran, like this verse. Now we learn to recite it. We purify ourselves so our heart can receive it, because if we don't have pure hearts, then this is a seed that's not going to get planted. You can't drop a seed on concrete and a hard heart, right? It has to be dropped on soil, fertile soil. You need a clean heart for that. And then we understand, we learn the Arabic, and we learn the translation, and we learn how Rasulullah actually carried this message. And this is a blessed place, you know. So whoever, I really ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless you, bless your efforts, bless this community for building this mission. Now, what we're saying is, this is not, civic engagement is not more important. This is something that irritates me a little bit. A lot of people say, oh, these messages are always fundraising for the masajid. Why are we fundraising for this one? And yes, you need to fundraise for this work, but this work is best out of a masjid. So, it's amazing that we have a masjid. We have to continue taking care of the masjid, because the masjid is where this work comes from, with strength, right? Now, if we have a masjid, we establish our deen, we establish our character, and then we do this work of civic engagement, of joining right if we're getting wrong, then we are going to be at an advantage, inshallah. And I'm sorry for the small introduction, but it's very important that we have the right framework of why are we doing this and how are we doing this, inshallah. So, now we're going to get into political details, okay? So, political involvement. This is a very basic pyramid. I'm sure that there might be and I'm sorry if you're too far, if you can't see this very well. But you can say there's three levels, okay? There's the voters, GOTV, get out the vote. That's what GOTV stands for, get out the vote, right? And you have to educate the voters on issues, correct? And this is where there's multiple organizations, nonprofits. Two main organizations are 501c3 and 501c4. A masjid is 501c3. A masjid can encourage people to vote. They can educate people on issues like Islamophobia, right? Like general issues about healthcare disparity, right? About the Gaza genocide, like just general, right? You can't say vote for this person or that person. You can't say vote for this party or that party, right? You can't even say vote specifically for this bill, right? You can tell people we need to vote, and these are the issues that we care about. And not only do you educate your voters, you also educate your elected officials. So what do? You come to the community, you make sure everybody's registered to vote. This is not rocket science, very simple. Very, very simple. It's not complicated. I think the framework that I gave before is more complicated. This is very, very easy, all right? You register to vote, you go out, you vote, you educate yourself about what you care about. Like I told you in medical school, we talked about how 50,000 people, or 100,000 people, I don't know how many people died because they were uninsured this year. I already forgot that number. Now I'm a doctor, I don't care about that anymore. You know what I'm saying? As medical student, I did, unfortunately. But we should care about it, right? We should care about it. And as medical students, we're in a more pure environment. We weren't corrupted by money. Unfortunately, money is corrupted. This is the reality. So, that's what we did. We educated ourselves about how many people are dying because they don't have health care insurance, how many uninsured people we have in the United States of America, and we're the superpower of the world, right? And now, we're a bunch of medical students that also vote. And what do? We go to Capitol Hill, we tell our elected officials, hey, we are the medical community, we are very concerned, there's so many people uninsured, we need to more programs to get more people insured. So they're not dying because of lack of health care and lack of preventative care. Same thing with our community. We gotta learn, our kids in schools are being harassed because they have a Muslim name, right? Because of their color. That is not okay, right? We have every right to be treated with respect and dignity. At the same time, our tax dollars are going to kill children. We pay 2 trillion taxes in America. In America, we pay 2 trillion in payroll taxes. I kind of added up the numbers myself. We almost spend 1 trillion on the defense industry. It's crazy, right? And then who controls that? Is the general public pushing the agenda of the defense industry, or is it contractors and special lobby groups who don't represent 1% of the community? It's interest groups that don't represent the community. So we have to go, we gotta tell them, we're not okay with our money being used to kill children, right? You have the whole Hindutva movement. Unfortunately, what's happening in Gaza is already starting to happen in India, right? Now it's happening in Lebanon all of a sudden, We have issues about education, you know. There's things we don't want our kids to hear in school. This is a reality, right? We have a right to express that value. And our civil rights need to be protected. Our kids on campuses need to be able to practice freedom of speech. Because if somebody wears a kufiya, you can't call that a symbol of hate. It's not. People wear a yarmulke. You call that a symbol of hate? It's simple. So you get educated on your issues. You get educated about how to talk about those issues, right? A woman can talk about her hijab, how she loves her hijab, correct? A Muslim man can talk about how he loves his stove, right? What does that mean to them from a religious standpoint, from a spiritual standpoint, from a cultural standpoint? And then we can go and be our elected officials and say, hey, this hijab, this stove, this cap that I have, this means to me X, Y, Z. This is something I celebrate, I love, right? And unfortunately, we're being targeted for it. And there's even bills being presented in Congress targeting these our symbol, our cultural symbols, our faith practices, and this is Islamophobia. This is discrimination. And as our representative, we expect you to defend us. And we have, by the way, 2,000 votes. Right? That's why it's important that we vote. Because we need numbers. Our strength is in our numbers. Right? At the same time, we can't only work in isolation. After we have gotten people out to, vote and educated them on their votes, and they start meeting with their elected officials, we gotta start visiting our nearby churches, our nearby synagogues, right? If they are open synagogues, if they share our values, right? And even any other, there's environmental issues that we can work on, there's economic issues we can work on, there's unions we can work with, right? As long as we are not compromising our values, right? We say this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala cares about. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to enjoy these good values. He wants us to forbid these bad values and actions, right? We see the people we agree upon, that agree upon the values that we have, and we go work with them. We gotta work with them based on the value-based manner, okay? You don't have to be blue or red. You know what I'm saying? And I think it's very hard as a Muslim in this country to be blue or red. No, what you do is you say, okay, this is the value I care about. And I don't agree, and these actions are against my values. If you are willing to work with me on the values I care about, that I promote, and you understand I'm not okay with these other actions, I'm okay to work with you. If you want me to leave my faith to work with you, no, I'm not doing it. And this moral consistency is what will make us strong. Because people will know who we are. They will know that they can count on us. They will know what our message is, right? They will know that we are not a bunch of people that will change our values for votes and money. Our values are clear, they're set in stone, okay? We are, and I don't know of any single group that can be as clear as we are in the Muslim community, If we actually practice civic engagement while being firm in our values, I think we would probably be the best civically engaged group in this country. But we have to start, and it starts with registering voters. Now what happens is when we register voters, we start speaking with elected officials, like I said, and the elected officials doesn't mean just president and Congress. There's how in America, and I'm sure you guys all know this stuff, but this is kind of just repeating when we're educating other people. You have the president, and you have the Senate, you have the House. All of it is called Congress at a federal level, and then at a local level, you have your state senator, you have your House representative like Nabila from our community, Abdul Bashir from our community. Then you have school boards, right? A lot of times we want to play in the NFL, in the Super Bowl, but we haven't played middle school football. We have to start small, right? You really go to your school board, you go to your state officials, you go to state senators, House representatives, and these elections, the vote difference is usually a couple hundred to 1,000 votes at maximum, okay? So a community that's 400, 500 people voters, okay? Especially now if they have made alliances with a couple other communities, like Sheikh Ahmed mentioned, the black community, the Hispanic community, other churches, right? If we all work together, we agree together on certain issues, even local issues like the streets, like speed bumps, etc. Education for our children, right? Now, and when we go together and we speak to our elected officials, we go speak to them very strongly. And slowly, our influence, like Sheikh Ahmed says, as we all work together, if we do this masjid by masjid by masjid by masjid by masjid, then we can go sit with Congress, right? And we can sit with our senators, and we can say, look, we, as a senator that represents the whole state, look, there's 50 mosques in this state. Each mosque has 1,000 people, and guess what? Each of those 1,000 people vote, right? Or 80% of them vote. And not just that, we are actually serving. Each mosque is serving its community. Each mosque is going to its church, is going to its synagogue, is going to its local union, is going to its schools. We're serving all these people, and we have allies. And we don't only speak for ourselves, we speak for them and for their issues as well. And we represent not just the 50,000 people, we represent the 500,000 people. We are people that enjoy right from big wrong because that's what God told us to do, and we do it with love. And that's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told Sayyidina Musa. When he told him, go speak to Fir'aun, he said, he told him, go and speak to him in a gentle manner, right? So this is what we do. We go speak with elected officials in a gentle manner, but with strength. And that's what Sayyidina Musa alayhi salam did, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala go and speak to him in a gentle manner, right? He spoke to him in a gentle manner. And what did Sayyidina Musa alayhi salam have behind him? He had Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is our reality too, by the way. We actually also have Allah. Each one of us has Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala behind us, right? But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also gave us numbers. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala expects us that we use these numbers. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does tell us in the Quran, وَأَعِدُوا لَهُمْ وَسَطَعْتُمْ الْقُوَّةِ. Prepare for them whatever you can power, whatever you can empower. In this country, power is voting and money. But there's other countries with a lot more money than us. But if we vote, if we have the votes, and the other thing we have, which is very powerful, is we have the truth on our side. A lot of people have a lot of money and they gotta advertise every day to what do you call it? Get a false message across. We don't have to do that. We have votes, we have the truth on our side, and we have some money. If we combine all this stuff, we're gonna be very powerful. So when we don't get civically engaged, what happens? This is just an example. Over here, this is not, you guys are not part of District 6, but District 6 has many of the main massajids in Chicago. Mosque Foundation, Orland, Villa Park Masjid, a lot of the masajid. It's in yellow, and what's in red, that's a Gaza strip. Okay? I personally met with elected officials from this district 4 times. And when we met with them, it wasn't just us. We had Jewish professors of political science, we had Marines. Actually, the one that designed this graphic is a non-Muslim, female physician. And we sat with the Congress and we told them, look, Gaza's half the size of our district. Imagine you drop 300,000 bombs on our district. 35 out of their 36 hospitals are not functioning. And Gaza is 2 million people, our district is 700,000 people. Okay? And now you take the 700,000 people, you displace them, you put them in the 10% of the district, and you kill 50,000 of their children, destroy almost every school, every university. This is not acceptable. There's nothing that can justify this. We can disagree on the details of why this happened initially, but nothing can justify this. We need this to stop so we can fix this with humanity, not by killing children. We just need you to call for a ceasefire, and we need you to not cut the aid to Gaza, which is when they voted to cut the aid to UNRWA. You know what was the response? I'm not going to change my position for a bunch of protesters. That's what he called us. A bunch of protesters. And why is that? Why did he call us a bunch of protesters? And this is the numbers for that district. In that district, there's 550,000 eligible voters. In the primaries, you only have 60,000 people that vote. The elected officials only care about the people that really vote in the primaries. These are the most important people to them, okay? Out of the 60,000, how much of our community vote? About 8,000. How many people do we have in our community in that district? 40,000. If we just, and what's the difference usually between these elected officials when they run for these races? About 20,000 votes. So if our community actually voted and we showed our strength, they can't call us protesters. Because why? Because we can make a difference. Right? They can't ignore us. So we need to vote, and we don't care about a certain party, this or that, or this elected official. We just want our issues represented. Basic issues like don't kill children, for God's sake, don't use our tax money to kill children. So when we don't vote, we are actually harming ourselves. And this is an example of where we can actually make a difference and we didn't. You know? But to be honest, I also have to take a step back. If you go 20 years ago, there wasn't even any common laws. So I just came to Civic, brother Rashad, I just recently joined, you know. And I looked at the website, and it's amazing. I mean, they've been working for years, mashallah. The community, alhamdulillah, has come together. Now we have an umbrella organization called CIOBC. CIOBC is getting people together to work on common issues. And we've gotten up to 8,000 voters, which is very good. 20 years ago, almost nobody voted, which is, alhamdulillah, huge progress. But now we just need to take it to the next level. And we gotta just share ideas. So each mission, now I think the next step is instead of CIOBC just throwing messages out there, we said we can't build a car and drive it. We can build a car, but now each mission needs to drive it. And what does that mean here at IFN? You gotta build a civic engagement committee, right? And we can share materials, we can share resources, right, with you guys. Like for example, with these flyers in front of you, we built a website, we made it very easy, QR code, scan it, you can register to vote, you can order your mail ballot, and you can see where the early voting happens, what locations, right? So we will make some of the work easy. We will give you the part, but we can't drive it, right? We're not going to go sit and register the people to vote. We can't necessarily educate the community to like how to talk about their issues. We're not going to sit there and call each local elected official and make appointments with them, and then take our community to meet with them. This is a lot of work. Each masjid needs to do that. Maybe we can provide. We can provide basic training material. If we had $1 million budget, yes, we can, but we don't have it. And this is our civic duty. It shouldn't need money. People should just get engaged, right? That's it. Like we don't need money. We just need each person to do their civic duty. Each person to do what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told them. Enjoy the right from your wrong. And it's not a lot of time. You just gotta dedicate an hour every 3 months. You know, come an hour, educate yourself on your issues, how to talk about it, go to and practice how to talk about it, and then schedule a call and make an appointment with an elected official and meet with them. And just meet once every 3 months. 2 hours. That's it. And when election time comes, register to vote and vote. It takes another hour. It's not real. But now when we all do it, it's very powerful. And you have the flyer. This is the outdated flyer. What you have in front of me is actually a newer flyer. This is something we decided. Muslim Go Vote is a website that, alhamdulillah, CIOBC already had built. And what do we want the masajid to do? And this is just a suggestion. You know, what I found out that this might not be based in reality from when I went to a lot of masajid, because each masjid has its own needs. Some things they can do, some things they can't do, okay? But to get people to move, you generally have to remind them 11 times about our issue so they take action. 11 times. From a marketing perspective. If somebody wants somebody to buy a product, they will advertise that product to them 11 times for them to act. So just because you put it, so what we want people to do is to talk about this in the khutbah, a whole khutbah on it, or at least remind people, right? Put this QR code that you have on the flyers on the screen. Tell people while sitting there after Isha or after Jum'ah, everybody right now, take out your phone, scan this QR code. If you're not registered, register. If you're registered, order your mail ballot, right? If you want to vote in person, early voting started, find your early voting location, right? Go and vote. And then have a table afterwards. So when people are leaving, if somebody has questions, they can come to the table, you can help them out. And then send an email, and then post it on your social media, and then send a text message. And what we found out, that text messaging is most effective. Maybe 1% response to an email, more than 10% response to a text message. But you can't do this once. This needs to happen at least 5 times, right? And the election is only, a couple weeks away, right? So if you do this cycle 5 times, hopefully every person in the community will have received the message about 11 times. or 5 times, you know? And inshallah, and you're not going to get market penetration in business terms. You're not going to get 100% market penetration immediately. You might get 30% of the community to move, even 10%. Then you get 20%, 50% eventually 80%. It's going to take time. And then you're going to say, well, this is hard work. Imagine the work of Rasulullah. So I think it's very important that as we do this work, as we get rejected by the community, some people might spit on our faces and say, you're traitors, why you're voting your head. This is what Rasulullah said. He got stoned and he bled. And what did he do? He made dua for the people. So this is the nice thing about doing this work in our community. You don't get paid for it. You don't get paid for it. You get yelled at and spat at, maybe. You know what I'm saying? But then when you do that, you love Rasulullah. You say, Allahumma salli ala sayyidina. So, Ya Allah, how did Rasulullah said, like, do this? He was one man facing the whole world. Right? I'm supported by the president, mashallah. I'm supported by the imam. I have a whole umbrella organization behind me, right? And I'm getting yelled at. Oh, it's okay. May Allah forgive you, jazakallah khair, but you keep on reminding me. Gentle messages, but frequently. You have to keep on doing it. Now, what if people don't act? The result is not on us, by the way. The result is not on us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the day of judgment, He will judge us on the effort, not the result. What we need is small, consistent effort. And this is the final slide, is, if you're seriously, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala expects us to do things with ihsan, right? Our religion, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala teaches things. Islam, basic, yes, we agree we need to go. Iman, yes, I kind of feel it. Ihsan, I'm going to do this to the best of my ability, right? If you really want to approach this, you have to approach it like you would do any product or business, right? You need to set up a team. This is basic, like, structure of a team. Alhamdulillah, the rest of you already have a team. You need to assign one person that's going to be a champion of this project. This person needs the support of the imam and the president. And I heard that Brother Ahmed, he said, actually, I need the imam to put and I agree with you. Because you need the influencer. In any product you want to succeed, you need the influencer to promote the product, right? The imam usually is a major influencer, the president is an influencer, whoever the influencer in the community. They gotta support this champion, and they gotta find somebody that can help them with graphics, because like you see, some graphics are involved. Somebody needs to know how to send mass text messages and post on social media, and there has to be a team on the ground. And there's no one person that can do everything. If this work is divided, it becomes easy. Somebody's designing the graphics, somebody's really posting it, somebody's after Jum'ah, you work together, it's very easy, it's low pressure, and you can do it consistently long term. And inshallah, if we do it, you can already order your mail ballot. August 7th that started. Last day to order your mail ballot is October 31st. So it's important to put that in the message to get people to get that. Early voting started in some places September 26th. Did it start here? Did early voting start here in this county? I don't know if it started here yet or not. I know the page early voting started.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Did early voting start?
October 21st.
Here, October 21st, early voting? Okay, so you guys got time. And the page already started, the 26th. Last date to register online in Illinois is October 20th. And of course, voting is November 10th. So we gotta get to work. We have an event called Changemaker Forum. It's on Zoom. We have one planned October 11th or 10th, I believe. So if Brother Ahmed, if we send this flyer, if you can share it in the masajid so people can scan the QR code. And I know your team is going to show it to you, if you can support them and letting the imam remind after inshallah, hey, please scan this. We have Dr. Fahad Ahmed that's going to speak. He's been to Gaza 6 times. He even met with president and gave him a letter from a group in Gaza. That'd be very helpful. And Jazakumullah khair. I'm sorry, it was a very, very long presentation.
So now we'll have time for question and answer. Yes.
Yes, so just to clarify the role of the masjid, non-profits, and youth.
Jazakallah khair. Quick question. So just clarification on the role of non-profit involvements. Can the personnel themselves, like the state brother Shah, for example, he's on the masjid board, can he outside of the masjid area or resources, can he be more politically explicit?
The answer to that is yes. As long as he says, I am speaking on a personal basis. So if somebody says, I am speaking on a personal basis, they can say whatever they want. But they have to clarify this. If they are involved in a nonprofit, you should clarify that. You say, hey, look, I am speaking on my behalf. I'm not speaking on behalf of
Can you do that in the message itself?
I wouldn't do it inside.
Not
the
enough.
business. No, I wouldn't do it on the property because then you're using 501c3 resources, right? And the whole thing is, what is it? Is that you become, no, what's the difference between 501c3 and 501c4 in terms of taxes? They're both nonprofits, but when you donate to 501c3, it's tax exempt. When you donate to 501c4, it's not tax exempt. So that's the difference. So we don't want our percentage to tax exempt status.
Also, maybe explain the difference between 501c3 and 4.
Yeah, so 501c3, again, they can mobilize people to vote, they can educate them on elections, on their advocacy issues, they can even go meet with elected officials, right? Present these issues, they can even host candidate forums, as long as they host it in a bipartisan manner, meaning that if there's two people running for the local elections or whatever elections, you offer them both, you invite them both, they both get a chance to speak. You don't paint any one of them in a certain picture. You simply ask questions and you let them answer, and that's it. It's called voter education. This is the maximum that you can do. But this is the most important point, is that as a community, we build a base. Now there's 501c4 organizations. Now these organizations can go and meet with specific local officials and tell them, we need you to act X on this issue, Y on this issue. There is this resolution, we need you to vote against that. We need to vote for this resolution, right? They can actually put out content, like Uncle Masih here, he has an organization called Yellow. They can put out content and say, this person did agree with us, vote for him or don't vote for him, right? That's 501c4. Now, those kind of organizations need support from our community, by the way. And that's where the real work happens. But if we don't have a strong base, nobody's going to care about their work. Now, if we grow our base, right, more people vote, more people learn about their issues, more people will meet the elected officials, and they see people are either listening to them or not listening to them, both ways, right? They say, well, this person helped me, how can I help you more? Now they're going to get excited. We say, well, go to Uncle Masih.
Dr. Osama, I had two questions. The first one is very basic, but it shows the importance of education. Where do the numbers for the actual voters who voted from the Muslim community come from? I assume you don't know that.
So like for example, these numbers that I presented, 17,000 are registered, and only less than about 8,000 people voted. There is no place that you can get these numbers, unfortunately, because in the census, they don't have us labeled racially, unfortunately. Like when I fill a census, I'm labeled as a white person or other, right? A lot of people here are labeled Asian, but Asian is a diverse community. So we need to do some work on the census to basically be able to capture really what's our numbers. But when people run campaigns, and I know people that ran campaigns, what they do is they get, and this is actually, I'm glad you asked this question. When they run these campaigns, they decide to advertise, right? When people raise money for campaigns, right? For House, they generally raise $400,000 for a state level seat. For Congress level seat, they have to raise about $2 million. That's a standard amount needed, okay? What do they do with that $2 million? They spend it advertising to whom? To voters. Or people registered to vote. They don't target on voters, okay? And now when they target them based, they don't create one standard flyer for everybody. They create it based on the people they're advertising to. They will put filters of a bunch of Muslim names. So they will put like 100 names, 5 names that match us. And people that have done that, for example, in District 6, have found there's about 17,000 voters. And we had some Muslim person run, and they got around 10,000 votes. And we know that's not all from the Muslim community, so we're just guesstimating, But yeah,
Okay.
unfortunately, there is, and it's tedious work. I asked them, it takes a long time. They get a list of names of some representative people in the community. But alhamdulillah, like, as we get more involved, we'll be able to get more and more of that data, right? But we need people to, be more involved, run for office, and we'll be able to learn more information.
You might guess already, but the reason I'm asking is that when it really hurt the example that you gave when you met with local officials and you said you're just a bunch of protesters. What data can we have in hand to show that it's just they can perceive as made up?
Yeah, that's the message. You're not going to go, well, the message you can say, like, look, I'm my message. I have 2,000 members, and all these people vote, right? There's more, and now that's what you can do on a message basis. Now, if you go to like 501c4 organizations, they can speak more to that, you know. But you can speak about the numbers of your mission and say, my mission has 2,000 people. I'm working with 10 other masajid, and each one has 2,000 people. You know, we are all people that are your constituents. It's your responsibility to. This is the thing, is that really their job is to represent us, right? We don't have to tell them we have numbers that vote anyways, by the way. We have to tell them that your job is to represent your constituents, not to represent those who donate to you. So please go and do your job and do what's morally right in the first place, right? Now, if they say you're a bunch of protesters, now if you know that you're not, you say, no, we're not. We're not a bunch of protesters. But you have to know that you're not a protester.
Just to add to the number part, right? So this data of whoever is registered goes into the central data, and in each district that you register to vote. So that has everybody in it, including us. So that number is there. But the way that we call those numbers is based on the representations. Let's say IFN has 500 members, registered members. That is the 500 that you go in and you speak on.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why, how when COGC goes and talk about it, that's how they talk about those numbers, because they got 70 plus masajid and Islamic centers, and relief organizations are member, and these members have the membership. So that's what the CRGC calls, they are representing 500,000 of Muslims in the Chicagoland area, because those numbers are coming based on each masajid having their membership. It is very strong when you go in and speak to it, because that 20,000 can make a difference, and that's why when you speak about the 500,000 representation, that is a huge, that's where they have your attention.
I mean, they're challenging. You say, okay, you're a percent at 500,000, but you don't vote.
Yeah.
So we just have to change that reality. Become voters.
One of the advantages, another advantage that I was quickly going to share, other than just being a number and voting, is to vote our local elections as well. So we should not forget the local elections, because that is only this $10,000 or 10,000 votes are in the district of But for the local election, for the state and school board and all that, it's 10, 20, 30, 50 votes makes a difference. So that is why it's so important for us to be involved and engaged, even in the local level. So this way we can be on the table and we can talk about those policies that we want for our community. And it's fair to ask for those policies, because that's why you're sitting on the table. I know some of you here have been part of it, Mehdi, Nasima, and they know, they understand how important it is. And that makes a difference. And not only that, but also they can bring those policies that can help our community to move forward. And they can also look into some of the grants that have been offered out there that they can bring into our community. So there's a huge opportunity for us to get involved and stay represented in those areas, because it's really every single one counts. So that is where I think it's more important. The focus of his presentation is how can we mobilize our base, which is our voter base. That is what we need to be focusing on, and we should increase our numbers, because at the state level, I think we are at the 37,000 that we have voted last year, and the number has increased from all the way from 10, 20, and in each election cycle, alhamdulillah, we're making great progress of having more people registered and more people are going to vote. Those numbers, inshallah, going forward is going to increase. That's what is counted. That's what we're relying on all you to make sure that we are taking this and pushing it out for others to go to vote.
Right, but you need a civic engagement committee. And this is just so, this election is just your first project. This project finishes, your work is not done. Now you're going to learn about who's your local elected officials, learn how to teach yourself about your issues, how to speak to them, start doing mock sessions, go and meet them, and keep on doing that every couple months, create allies, do interfaith work, right? And I think it's very important, like something that we have to simplify it for the community to get involved. You tell them you can't play in the Super Bowl before you play middle school football. And this is exactly what you're saying. You gotta go to your school board, and then, anyways, people that got to Congress, they've won through state senate, house. This is where, so your state senator might be a congressman or a congresswoman tomorrow, right? Or maybe one of our children will be, inshallah, or one of you, inshallah.
I was just going to add to your point of the numbers of the masajid. That's also should encourage us to encourage other people to become members, because that's the number that we start from. We know that we only have about 500 members, but in reality, there is 3,000 at least or more in this area that are not part of any statistics.
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Unfortunately, they are not part of the study. And it's not only that, but I think IFM within the county, I think we have more than 5,000 people in this area in the census when you really look at it. Because now, through those efforts, now, alhamdulillah, the bill has passed. Now there's a MENA category in the bill now that will call for specific race that you're going to be part of it. So that bill got passed last year by CIGC and other organization pushing an effort. So the Arabs and they either check the white or some other category.
Yeah.
But now from next year 2025, you will have a MENA category where you will be Middle East and North African content. So you can check that. So that will help in terms of the census and the population. Sheikh Ahmed, you were saying something?
Yeah, well, I usually, when I talk about civic engagement, I don't want people to be lost. Sometimes we think of get out the vote as civic engagement. This is just a small aspect of civic engagement. And how I usually measure the community, if it's engaged civically or not, I ask them, do you know your local government? Does anyone of you know what sort of local government you have? Is it, do you have the person who's responsible for the local government? Is it a manager? Is it a supervisor? Do you have a mayor local? If the community are not even aware of their local government, they're not civically engaged. Another question, do you know the budget of where you live? In Westchester County, where I live, they have $2.4 billion, the budget of the county. There are $8 million for nonprofit, to support nonprofit. The Muslim community is not even aware of it. So if you're not locally engaged, you will never get the benefit, that benefit. You ask people, there are the commissions. Is there anyone here who is a member of the school board, whatever commission? Anyone? One person? There's a few. If you see a couple of people who are on those committees, the zoning committee, the safety committee, school committee, people could complain about policies. When we say policies have 5 stages. Always the Muslim community pays attention at this stage. You have an initiation, you have an agenda setting, you have a discussion, we have a decision making, you have implementation. After it is implemented, it becomes a law. So you always, the Muslim community, come complaining after it is a law, and now you have to sit there 2 or 3 years to remove that pump, street pump. You didn't pay attention. They were building up other non-profits or other pressure groups, pushed for that policy for 2 or 3 years, and you were absent, and now you're complaining and trying to change it. Let's sit there 3, 4, 5 years to change that policy. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Honorable, first of all, I would like to comment on the positive steps that my CIGC is taking. I want to make 2 or 3 important points in our experience of 6 years in local politics. First of all, I think it is very important not to just be concerned about the election time. The real time to get participation is on a monthly basis. Every city, every organization has a monthly meeting of the board. If you just show up and build relationships, then what happens is that these people will invite you to stand for elections. So you don't really have to wait for election cycle. Go every month. Every website has the dates and the numbers. So if you can make an assertion today that you will go to the websites of your representatives and pick up the dates of the meeting and just show up. Americans are very friendly people and they welcome you for that. Their people. Number 2 is very important to build relationships. At election time, relationships is what matters. So one final pitch I want to make is, for example, our organization, which is almost supplementing and helping other organizations, and they are helping us, is the whole idea of getting mixed up with the American people. If we just do it within our family, that is like preaching the choir. It is the return on our investment in personal discussion and self-satisfaction, but nothing more than that. So the real thing is association with people that you disagree with. And hence we at NIAMA want to have meetings regularly with non-Muslim population to bring them into our way of thinking. You will be surprised as to how many people think like us. There are zillions of people, millions of people who think like us on issues that concern us. So please mix and let's not pigeonhole ourselves into that. We know that America is not holding the stick in the middle, right? It is no balance. But there are other people who have similar. So I don't want to take more time. We are having a meeting on October 27th. Most of the local politicians are going to be there. Please come and invite other people. Inshallah. Thank you.
She's going to wrap it up.
There's one more question.
Jazakallah khair for the presentation. Just one question, like what I feel like a challenge, like if you see the numbers here, right? It's not that heavy. If it was a sermon which was about a financial thing, you will see people no need to convince them, and they be here because they see the value and it hits home, it hits hard, right? It's a personal issue. So it's that discussion that I feel challenging is like making people understand how it's important for them personally to get civically engaged, because I know we see Palestine videos, we see all that stuff, people get rallied up and they show up once, it's spontaneous, it's reactive. But personally, this is a good playbook in terms of how to set up a structure. But is there a playbook about the issues that matter to the Muslim community in the US? I know there's Kashmir, there's Palestine, there's all that, but we're very far away in many cases. We get involved in our regular lives and we forget about these things now and again, and we need reminders. But is there, like, as Muslim community, we have a playbook which says these are top 3 issues that matter for the Muslim community, and we can rally the community based on that?
Yeah, so that's a good question. CRGC does have an annual event they call Illinois Muslim Action Day. So prior to that, it happens in March and April timeframe. So prior to that, this community sits down with all the community leaders and map out what are the issues and policies that needs to be discussed and shared during that time. So it has to build up, like Sheikh Ahmed said, not at the time when the policy is already done and it's in the session, but prior to establishing and making sure that you're partnering up with those who have sponsors and co-sponsors that bill and work with them, ahead of time, so those policies are become into a law. So that's what CRGC has been doing it for the past 20 years. It's called Illinois Muslim Action Day. So once a year that they have 7 or 8 policies that they discuss among the community leaders and say, this is the policies that we're going to be presenting them. So among that was anti-registry bill, and I'm taking way back. What that means is, even though if those laws is passed at the federal level, but the state of Illinois will bypass that, because in the state of Illinois, you have anti-registry bill passed already prior to even having a law in the state of Illinois. So these are the things that happens once a year, but they build it around it and then have a regular engagement, like Brother C was talking about, making sure that you are interacting with those who are co-sponsoring and all that. So that is why I think it's so important to be involved year round, not just during the election cycle, or make sure that you are continuously engaging it and discussing what is a policy important. Especially, for our schools, there are so many policies are now has been bypassed or not even been discussed in the school. If you remember at the time when the kids were going to school, they used to have a sign-off or waiver form. Can we teach certain things in this grade for your student? So there used to be a form, and you as a parent sign those forms and say, no, we don't want our kids to be part of those, or yes, you do. Nowadays, the law has been passed, which nobody was paying attention, that they don't need to send a disclosure form. They can teach your kids anything they want, which is right, wrong, or different, but you don't have as a parent as an option to say yes or no. So now, the next year, we are putting a policy to bypass that and making sure that the parents have an option to check and sign off on those acknowledgement forms. So these are the things that are really important for our kids, and we need to be staying engaged to help understand what those policies are, which is becoming a law. That's why it's important to be engaged and involved and make sure that you're helping.
One thing which I just wanted to thank you for explaining, but I think we need to understand as Muslim communities, a lot of us first generation migrants come from broken democracies and dictatorships.
We kind of accept whatever is passed down from authority. So I think we stay with the same mindset here that okay, they remove the form, let's accept it. So I think like from that perspective, other than first generation, are we engaging MSAs? Are we engaging people who are born here, who actually know what democracy matters? Because we all come from broken democracy and dictatorships, and we think whatever is passed down, accept it or leave it.
You know, and, so this is the whole point of this presentation, is that we're saying each masjid needs to educate its people. And remember, Rasulullah he was rejected for many years, and then he met a few people from Medina, right? And then, what was it, 12 people? And then the next year, it was 72 people, right? Same thing here. Alhamdulillah, look, you guys have a group of people here. Now you guys you're aware about this issue. Now you're going to spend time with your community members, educating them. You know, Brother Shah, he spoke about IMAN. I didn't go to IMAN. I was involved with CIUC heavily, yeah. But my understanding is none of the elected officials agreed to meet with us. This year, they refused to meet with us. You know why? Because we're not meeting with them on a regular basis. Now, if IFN is meeting the members of IFN, you go here, you go outside, you just don't register people to vote. You educate them that we can make a difference, right? You put out the numbers. Look, in this race, this is how many seats secure this. You just can't talk about a party or about certain elected officials or specific policies. Look, numbers matter. In this country, we can make a difference. On a local level, we can make a difference. These are the numbers that make a difference in our community. We have these numbers. We have neighbors. If we work with them, we will make a difference. And we need to start going and speak with our elected officials, showing our strength. You have to do the work. There's no way around it. There's no big organization that's going to come save us. Nobody. Nobody's going to come save us. We have to save ourselves. Masjid by masjid. Build a civic engagement committee. Start educating people. Monthly meetings. Start meeting with them monthly. I love that what you said about I don't even know what's about state budget of my area. You know, I don't know. I've never been to a board meeting that's happened monthly. I've been learning from Uncle Vasim since last October, by the way. I've been to this, so I moved just like you. Don't think all this I learned only since as a thing started. You know, I really didn't know these details. So look, in a short amount of time, I've learned so much, but clearly there's so much more that I have to learn. And we go to people that have been civically engaged, and we educate slowly, with a little power, inshallah.
Yeah,
Okay, it's the last comment.
Last comment.
The brother said something very important. Why is it that we have a low number? Because what we're talking about doesn't touch the people. Maybe, I don't know if you promoted it very well, but even if you promote it, we're talking on general topic, how to vote, how it is important to vote. You want people to be engaged. The civic committee locally, as Ahmed, you're on the committee here or one of the active people. Okay, anyways. If you have an event like this, you're not supposed to talk about elections of Kamala Harris or Biden. Talk about your local election where this message is impacted. If you talk about policies, you don't talk about Islamophobia issues unless in your own schools here you have very, an example inside your own community, a kid who's a victim of Islamophobic act or a teacher or whatever, and then you have the community rallying around that one kid. Everything's supposed to be local. If the policies and the issues you're talking about doesn't have any impact on people directly, they will not be engaged. And if you engage them locally, then when you have a Gaza issue, they will understand because they have a first-hand experience that there was a speed bump that was not on their street and 2 or 3 people were killed, and they rallied to have a speed bump. Now they see the importance of working together to have a policy locally that impact their lives. So everything goes local and attend the meetings locally, then you will see about the specific policies to the community. You don't have, once you go locally, you will see that there are many, the whole array of policies that impacts you that are not necessarily targeting Muslims. There could be homelessness, safety issues in your criminals and wave of crimes in your city, you're not aware of it. If you just go to those meetings, you will see that you will be engaged in a way or another, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.
like everyone. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming. I wanted to thank CIOGC for this wonderful collaboration. Thank you, Sister Pam. It was excellent. We learned a lot. And thank you, community, for coming. This was excellent. Also wanted to thank IFN for understanding the importance of this and for inspirational leaders in our community, the Sister Luna, Brother Nassim, Brother Rashad. Really, I've learned a lot from you all from different issues. So thank you so much. Let's see, we also getting the youth more involved, so thank you, youth, for coming and being engaged. That's really important. And one thing I want to point out is that IFN in general, we need more volunteers, so I'm glad to see some new faces. As physicians, we hear a lot about physician burnout. Well, there's also volunteer burnout, so we want to avoid that, inshallah. And then, so the more youth we have, the more new faces we have coming, that'll be really, really helpful, inshallah. So, as part of the IFN Civic Engagement Committee, we have a couple workshops coming up. We have the collaboration with CIVG. Next week is the Muslim Civic Coalition. Excited about that too. And also October 20th, we have our local elected community leaders coming to speak. So Brother Mahdi, who's one of our board trustee, and he's board trustee and Village of Greenough's trustee. He's coming, right, Sister Helen? That's her husband. He couldn't make it today, but he planned to be here. Actually, he's the one that we go to because I live in Greenoughs. So like, Brother Mahdi, the fence is falling apart. What are we doing about that lake over there? So I've learned from him. And then we'll have Sister Nasima, she's right back there. She was Woodland Gurney School Board. And then we'll have Sister Rabia coming, who's current Oak Grove School Board President. So that'll be excellent. They'll see the impact that they're making, right? When we see them come and talk about their experiences, that'll be really helpful. Also, this was so wonderful that CIGC came all the way, so please consider donating to CIGC. And don't forget today we have a blood drive going on, so if you weigh the right, I usually can't donate due to my weight, but if you weigh enough and you're well hydrated, please stop by and donate your blood. And thank you so much everybody for coming again. And if anyone who's closing their door, are closing the door, brother? It's not please.
I'm not ashamed by the way, just because I couldn't hear you. It's just that it's Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but we just body whatever we can. But inshallah, I'll make a dua. الحمد لله رب العالمين. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى اله وصحبه اجمعين. اللهم اهدنا فيمن هديت وعافنا فيمن عافيت وتولنا فيمن توليت وبارك لنا فيما اعطيت واقض عنا شر ما قضيت انك تقضي بالحق ولا يقضى عليك. اللهم اتنا في الدنيا حسنه وفي الاخره حسنه وقنا عذاب النار. Ya Allah, guide us to you. Ya Allah, you are the creator of the heavens and the earth. Ya Allah, make that truth a reality in our hearts. Ya Allah, make that truth transform our lives. Ya Allah, connect us to the Quran, the message that you sent to us. Make the Quran something beloved to us. Make it a reality in our hearts. Make us attached to our beloved Prophet ﷺ. Make his love a priority for us, for our children. Make him our role model, and the role model of our children. Ya Allah, help our imam, our leaders, our volunteers, all take this message of Islam and let it enter their hearts and make it easy for them to practice it, spread it amongst each other, love one another, work with each other. Ya Allah, keep us away from sin. Ya Allah, cleanse our hearts. Ya Allah, improve our characters. Ya Allah, let us focus on the Ummah of Sayyidina Muhammad ﷺ and serving humanity instead of serving ourselves. Ya Allah, increase our numbers and make us stronger and protect our children in this country, and all over the world, in Gaza, in Lebanon, in Kashmir, in Yemen, and all over the Muslim world and all over the world. And make us advocates for children that are suffering, no matter where they are. In Sudan, all over the world, our children are suffering, and make us champions of those that are suffering. And make us a clear message to humanity that when you believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you are on the truth and you are a protector of the weak. وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين.
Thank you.